Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis. Although most of the cars I source are between £1,000 and £5,000, very often I've been asked to show something a little bit cheaper on the channel, and so I came up with No Budget Reviews, the series where we look at cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and you can enjoy driving. We don't film this in an expensive manner, we don't use separate microphones, we don't use fluid head tripods, we don't even use a DSLR, but we do have a lot of fun. Back in September 2020, Mr. Coleman, or otherwise known as Rubbish Mechanic, and I did a special edition of No Budget Reviews called the No Budget Reviews Austerity Edition. And the car that I've been kindly lent today by Simon from Langley Prestige in Chelmsford, I think might actually be worse. Although it's not Austerity Edition because it cost a bit more than £50. This is a 1996 Mercedes-Benz C200 W202, and it's one of the worst cars I think I've ever driven. It's really got some kind of major problem with the engine. Now it just about made it to this little lay-by for me to do some filming from Simon's place. I don't think Simon's actually going to even sell this car. I think it's going to end up in the scrapyard. So I've got my trade plates in, so I'm all legal. It's got an MOT and everything. But yes, let's talk about the W202 in more detail. We have covered a W205, or I should have said S205, because that was the designation for the estate models at the time. On the channel before, my mother actually owns one, and this was the rival at the time, it still is now, to things like the Audi A4, the BMW 3 Series, and maybe other things as well, like the Saab 900 and 93. If we open up the boot first of all, originally supplied in a dealership in Northern Ireland, I think it was in Colwyn. I think these are the original dealer plates of the car actually. Open up and see we've got a full-size spare wheel in there actually. This being the Classic, it is the bottom of the range, and early Classics actually got no electric front windows at all. This is the one up from the base engine. It is a 2 litre. I think it's supposed to have 135 horsepower, but it certainly doesn't now. If you try getting in the back, I've taken off my sensible jacket because this car is not sensible really for most people to be driving around in. It is just for people like Simon and me to have a bit of fun with. One of the things about this car when it was new was the fact there wasn't a lot of room in the back, and you can kind of see that there's not. You don't get an armrest, you don't get leather in seats or anything like that. You get this sort of weird material that looks a little bit like wood, but I don't think it is. So instead you get saying Mercedes-Benz in sort of funny fonts. There is an ashtray of course in here. This is actually a manual too, which is really rare. Manual Mercedes are not common now. A little bit more common back in the day, but they're certainly not common now. You can see we've got the classic Mercedes switchgear, which we'll look at right in a second, but yes, manual rear windows of course. Let's have a to the front. Okay. I mean, the outside of the car actually isn't too bad for however much Simon paid for it, which wasn't a lot. If we get in, because it's a classic spec and it's a 96, after 94 they actually got electric front windows as standard on a Classic. Ashtray and of course the cigarette lighter. I think the stereo was actually an option at this time. I could be wrong, certainly on like a 190 it was. Plastic steering wheel of course, no leather steering wheel, no air conditioning or anything like that. Just these. It is dual zone, but it is just non-air conditioned air. And I think for some reason you can flip those, see if it can actually flip those rear headrests down. It doesn't really matter if we can't, but we just put that in there. I wonder if we can flip those headrests down. No, we can't, that's broken. Never mind. So the glove box is absolutely tiny. You can't fit the commission documents in it at all. That's probably because it's got a passenger airbag, and actually that wasn't standard initially on these cars. Side airbags came as standard in '97 with a little facelift, so this being in '96, a little bit too early for that. I'm not going to try to operate that sunroof because it will probably start leaking. That's probably not a good idea. But as you can see, you've got the release here for the foot-operated parking brake, which I've never driven a car with a manual gearbox and a foot-operated car brake before, but there's a first time for everything, and this is it. I don't want to do any hill starts in it though, that could be a bit difficult. Right, we suppose you'd better take a look and see what's happened under the bonnet. Yes, viewers, it smells a bit sickly under here. I think we've got multiple leaks of various descriptions. That was windscreen washer fluid, but it's not very nice in there. One reassuring thing is this car is fitted with ABS, so I can stop. I just have various sort of leaks going on. Yes, I don't think we're going to see this car retailed at Langley Prestige anytime soon. I will put some more coolant into the system before I start to go off. I think that's probably just a wise idea. I'm not very far away from West Simon's businesses, so I'll be okay. But yes, this is a 4-cylinder longitudinally mounted engine. I think it's called the M111 or something like that. In this case, it's generating 135 horsepower, or at least it used to. It certainly doesn't now. Right, let's drive back to Simon's place of work, and let's do it carefully. Okay viewers, let's get back to Simon's premises before this car actually dies. Oh my gosh. Oh, we got no power. It's supposed to have 135 horsepower, but I don't think it does anymore. We got squeaky fan belts, we've got coolant rushing everywhere. And we've got recirculating ball steering as well, because it's basically a little bit like a Mercedes CLK underneath this. Yeah, just no power. Oh, yeah, that's not fun. Manual gearbox is okay. I've had it said for absolutely ages, just don't buy a Mercedes with a manual gearbox. I mean, in terms of residuals, this car's obviously not going to be great because, well, I mean, we'll be able to keep having to chuck coolant into it, and also it's a base spec car with a manual gearbox and a 4-cylinder engine, so yeah. But this is no budget reviews, and that doesn't really matter. Absolutely not at all. Mount is in the way, the dealer plate is in screen, and we've almost made it back to Simon's. Just keep to remember that there's no separate wiper stalk, and in this car it's only got a single wiper, but I think we did it. I think we're okay. Yes, we didn't break down on the side of the road, and for that I am exceedingly grateful. So viewers, let's take a look at a bit more detail at some of the engines available in a W202 C-Class, because I can't possibly remember all of these whilst driving. So starting off with C180, 120 horsepower, that was a 1.8 engine. Right at the end it was changed for a 2 litre. C200 like this, 2 litre engine, 135 horsepower. At the beginning, there was a C220, which generated 150 horsepower, 2.2 litre engine. Then was the C230. That was only available, I think, in 1987, but generated 150 horsepower as well. So slight engine change, but not much in the way of power output difference. Then the 2 litre supercharged engines, a C200K. That generated 190 horsepower. Then right at the end, it was downgraded to 163. That probably just due to Euro 3 emissions regulations. Then the C230K, 2.3 litre, generated 190 horsepower. That was the same engine as used, I think, extensively in the CLK. Then a C240 that came after the C230, 6-cylinder engine. 2.4, later 2.6 right at the end, 170 horsepower. Then the C280, 6-cylinder 2.8, started off with 190 horsepower at the beginning, and then later 204. And then we get into the really interesting things. We have a 6-cylinder C36 AMG, 3.6 litre engine, 276 horsepower. And then right at the top is the C43 AMG. It's a V8 4.3 litre engine, 302 horsepower. And then the absolute beast, C55 AMG, 5.4 litre V8 with 345 horsepower. That is an awful lot of engines. Right then, viewers, should you buy a first generation Mercedes C-Class? Well, I don't know about this manual gearbox. It's okay. I think it's a Getrag unit in this. It just takes a bit of getting used to with this floppy parking brake and things. This particular car, I'm not sure it's long for this world. It could be that I am one of the last people to actually ever drive it. I'm grateful to have a chance, and you know, if this was No Budget Reviews Austerity Edition and Mr. Coleman was around, we'd give us a bit of a send-off, because there's just, this car's just not economical to repair. It's not economical to repair. It cost kind of low No Budget Reviews money in the first place. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be particularly a, you know, money maker for Simon, but nevertheless, because it had an MOT, I've got some dealer plates that Simon's kindly lent me. It's interesting to be able to drive something like this and to know why, yes, sometimes buying cars at auction can be a bit of a disaster. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed for watching this episode of No Budget Reviews. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more entertainment, to like this video and to leave a comment below. Please also switch on notifications and visit the social media links down below. And we'll have another one of these quite soon.